Zealander living in the East Riding of Yorkshire, and this is my podcast about my handmade life. You can find me on Instagram as Louleigh_, on Ravelry as Louleigh, and I have an Etsy shop called Shop Louleigh where I sell pencil cases and notions cases and knitting needle cases, but you can find links to all of my online places at louleigh.com. And that is my alarm to remind me to go and check on the stock that I have brewing in the oven, so stand by. Speaking of the shop, I have some large size notions cases or pencil cases going in the shop this evening, so they should be there by the time you see this. So there are some mermaids, and this is one of my favourites, this sort of pink tree fabric. And this is one of your favourites, beehives, and some puffins, and there's actually cases to go with the puffins in the shop at the moment as well. So yeah, they can be used as a pencil case, they're long enough for that, or just as a large size notions case. Today I am wearing a Erin Cardigan, which I've talked about before. My mother made this before I was born, and it's a little bit chilly, and so it's just nice to have it to pop on. This is community news, and we have Knit 1000 Grams coming to the end on the 20th of March when the Edinburgh Yarn Festival begins. So if you've been joining in that, then please pop over to the finished objects thread and yeah, just update your totals and whatnot. On the 20th I'll be drawing a winner from that thread, so you have to have knitted at least 1000 grams because that was kind of the aim of it. A lot of you have had greater goals and knitted a lot more. But yeah, update your post and then I shall draw somebody on the 20th of March and get them a little treat from the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I love going through that thread and seeing your updates. You sort of scroll through and you'll see something new every time, and there's one particular yellow cardigan like a cloud, and it just looks beautiful, and it's beautifully styled as well, and I always have to stop and have a little gasp when I see it. But there's lots of lovely inspiring projects in there. I really enjoy just taking a little tootle through that thread every now and again. So yeah, get over there and just update your post. So on the 22nd of March, which is the Friday of Edinburgh Yarn Festival, we have the meetup at Rabbi's Cafe, and details about that are over in the Ravelry group. There's a link in the show notes, so you can pop over there and take a look if you're interested in joining us. I've been asked if people can order things and pick it up from me at Rabbi's, and that's fine. So I have put a coupon code in the thread so that you don't have to pay postage. So if you want to place an order and pick it up from me at that meetup, then use the coupon code. I will absolutely not take any of my stock or any orders to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, to the Corn Exchange, because I haven't paid for a booth there, and I just think it would be wrong to conduct my business out of my rucksack. So if you do place an order, you can have the postage off, but you really must make an effort to get to Rabbi's to pick it up. We have also started the yoke along in the Louleigh Ravelry group, and I'm very excited to look for some yarn for this project at EYF. I have two patterns in mind. I'll see if I can put pictures up here, and if I go through Ravelry I may end up with more patterns in mind, but anyway, it depends on the... Sorry, my dog is falling off my knee. It depends, I guess it depends on the colour combinations that I can find. If I can find, you know, if you can find 4 yarns that are appealing, or 3 yarns, or yeah. So the first one that I've been thinking about is Mountain Mist by Tin Can Knits. I really love the geometry of this pattern, and I think it's been so fun to get my coloured pencils out and just think about some new colour combinations. I've also been thinking about doing Constance, which is a pattern that's just been released by Ange from Meadow Yarn, and it's got a slip stitch pattern on it, and it's only 2 colours, so it could be quite dramatic. Yeah, as I say, it'll kind of depend what yarn is available and what colour combinations appeal to me. I think also that what I've noticed, well, if a yarn comes in 100 gram skein and you only need a little of it, it can end up making your project quite costly, so that will probably be a consideration as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to go shopping for the yarn. It's so much fun to see that you guys have been choosing patterns, or that you've been getting out whips that you have in progress and joining in. The only criteria is that you have to have some of the fancy bit still to knit. Doesn't matter if you're knitting top down or bottom up, as long as you've not finished the fancy bit, then you're in. So this week I have not been working on Boverton. Boverton and I are spending some time apart. I have finished the, whoops, that was a cable going flying about there. I finished the sleeve, and then I stopped and washed it just to see what would happen with the colour work and the puckering and unevenness that I was having problems with this project. And it fixed it a little, but it's still not my neatest piece of knitting. I guess this kind of surprised me. I hadn't expected to find all of these little squares quite so challenging, and I was thinking about why that might be, because the yoke looks beautiful. The squares on the body they're not as nice as the yoke, there's still tension issues. But then when it got to the sleeve, not so good. And I think it's just that it's all of these regular straight lines that, because you're changing the colours in exactly the same place all the time, it just makes it, for me, a little bit more difficult to manage the tension. And I think it's always easier to get neat colour work on a large circumference. And with the top of the yoke, there's not sort of too many of those straight vertical lines, whereas these little squares have been a lot more challenging than I'd expected. I've been taken down a peg or two actually. I guess I've been knitting things for a long time, and so I hadn't really expected for that to be tricky or a problem. Yeah. I've decided, since I've knitted the sleeve once already, this is the second time, that I'm just going to go ahead and knit the other sleeve. If that's significantly better than the first one, then I'll re-knit this one, and if it's not, I'm just going to call it a learning experience and just truck on and finish it off. As I say, sometimes you just have to swallow your pride a bit and put things down to being a bit of an education, and I think that's what this is. So anyway, we're not speaking right now, but we will. So this is not my vintage project for March. We're just having a little bit of time apart. I have been working on my Markley jersey, which I'm really excited about. I've made quite a bit of progress on that actually. I think last time you saw it I had finished the torso, and this is where I'm at now. So I decided to rip it out and to start again. And my reasoning behind that was that when I chose the size in the first place, I base it on my hip measurement because it's a loose oversized garment and my hips are about 13 centimetres larger than my bust, so I wanted it to fall to drape over my hips and not be fitted. And I think I tried it on and it looked really nice. I was really pleased with it. As I say, it's supposed to be an oversized garment. It was a little smaller than my carbith and it just had a really lovely drape to it. But of course I was playing quite a distressing game of yarn chicken. And so what I decided to do was to rip it back and to knit the smaller size, which is still, I think it's about 10 centimetres larger than my bust, but if I knitted it as per the pattern it would probably be fitted around my hips. So I thought it might be pretty easy just not to do all of the decreases that are suggested after you do the armhole shaping. So yeah, I'm quite pleased about that because I think last time I spoke to you I was kind of gutted that I had spent all of this money on yarn and then it might end up looking like a hodgepodge of stuff that had just been thrown together. So I have ripped out all of the yarn, which is I think it's Skein Queen. I think it's her Splendid base and the colourway is Antique Mix. I'm alternating cakes, skeins, and the pattern is Markley by Elizabeth Doherty. Yeah, so I'm really excited too to have this as Edinburgh Yarn Festival knitting because it is mainly stocking stitch, so it will be a bit more exciting than just knitting on a sock for the whole time. Today I thought I would do a little yarn review for you, and to be honest I've been putting it off a bit because I wasn't sure what to say about this yarn. A while ago I knitted the Pharaoh hat out of a Rerum Natura yarn. I think you pronounce it Gilliatt, and the colourway is Ciel, C-I-E-L. Yeah, so it's Furrow by Jared Flood, and I really enjoyed working with this yarn, so I thought I would do my standard yarn review process with it and just take it for a little bit of a test drive. In the ball, I've put the label somewhere safe, so no idea where that is. But in the ball, it's quite a has quite a elastic, spongy texture, and it rebounds when you push it in. This is an organic merino yarn from France, and it feels different from a lot of the other merino yarns that I have experienced. It's got a lighter weight feel. It's only a 3-ply, whereas some other merinos are very finely plied, so there's not the same density that I'm used to in other merino yarns. It's got a a light spongy sort of a feel to it. The colour is interesting as well. It's got that tweedy sort of flecked effect, so it's not just a flat kind of a colour. And I really enjoyed working with this yarn. It's not splitty or anything like that. It's really a pleasure to knit with. It's very round, and yeah, very round and bouncy and elastic feeling. Doing, 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 doing. So I knitted 2 swatches. I knitted one on 4mm needles. I had quite a lot left over. It comes in 100-gram balls. I forget what the yardage is on that. I haven't written it down. No, haven't done anything sensible like that. So this was the swatch that I made on 4mm needles, and then I made another swatch on 5mm needles, and the fabric of both looks fine. I think you could easily knit with it at both gauges. So on the 5mm needle swatch I got a gauge of 17 stitches over 10 centimetres, and then on the 4mm swatch I got a gauge of 18.5 stitches over 10 centimetres. Yeah, I used the smaller swatch for my road test, so I've washed this 3 times, and actually in my hand it's starting to soften up a little bit. It's already soft. I've had this pressed against my neck, and I wear it in my armpit for a friction test, and I've had it on my forehead, and it is not prickly at all. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't have that sort of downy, peachy softness to it, but there's no prickle factor at all. And as I say, it is softening up as I've washed it 3 times now. The reason that I had delayed talking about this, and I felt like there was nothing to say, is that I have had this swatch tucked into my bra at my armpit for probably about 2 weeks now, and frankly there is absolutely no change at all. There's no pills, it hasn't sort of flattened out, or the yarn still looks really nice and round, and just like it did when I first knitted the swatch. The gauge is exactly the same after I've washed it 3 times, and yeah, no change here, nothing to report. But that makes me think that it would be a great yarn for knitting garments, especially if they have a textured pattern, because as you can see from the hat, that really stands up. I think also it comes in 100-gram balls that are about £11, which makes it sort of a mid-priced yarn. I'd have to save up for it, but not for like ages. It's the sort of thing that I would want to knit a garment in. I had thought about knitting my yoke with this, but the problem is 100-gram balls, when you only need a little bit of the colour, it makes it kind of, that's where it adds up, it makes it kind of expensive. But if you're looking for a nice, robust, soft, but lightweight yarn, this is an Erin sort of a weight, then this would be a good one to choose. I like the colours that it comes in, and I really like this tweedy effect as well. The Gilliatt specifically came on my radar because someone had suggested it as an option as a substitute for, is it Shelter, the Brooklyn tweed Aran weight yarn. And if you've been watching a while, you'll know that I knitted this hat a while ago. I didn't have any leftovers, so I couldn't do my standard yarn road test, and I guess it's unfair to hold the 2 of them side by side, because this one has lots of cabling, so of course this one's going to feel lighter. But they do have a similar texture. They're spongy and round, and the Gilliatt is definitely a more robust yarn. I know some people have had problems with Shelter coming apart as they knit it, whereas this is definitely not going to. But I think it still has both yarns still have an elasticity to them. I think it's Shelter. I should have been better prepared for this. I think the Shelter is definitely going to end up being more lightweight, but I think that Gilliatt should it be Gilliatt? I'm not sure. It would definitely be a good substitute, and and it just feels like it's a lovely yarn to knit with, and I would love to make a garment with this. So yeah, and I think the wear test just makes me think that it would be a really robust, hard-working yarn that would keep its shape for a long time. If you haven't tried it, then see if you've got it locally to you and can give it a go, because yeah, it gets a big thumbs up from me. So that is all from me for today. I am going to focus this week on Markley. I would like to make some really good progress on that. I also want to focus on my new vintage project for this month, which I shall probably show you next time. I want to do a little bit of spinning. I've had a specific project on my wheel for a while, and I'm trying to, I'd like to just do a few minutes every day, but that's just not happening. Perhaps I just need to sit down and do a marathon and get the project finished and off the wheel. Anyway, I hope to show you some progress on that next time. It's been wonderful to sit and have a little bit of a chat with you. Please come and join us in the Ravelry group. If you enjoyed this episode, then give me a thumbs up and like below. Show notes are below as well, and I shall see you next time. Cheerio!